Minority in Parliament has questioned what they call the haste with which the National Youth Employment Agency Bill is almost on its way to being passed into law before the House rises. And we've been joined on the line by Akyeampong. He is the Executive Director of the Ghana Youth Entrepreneurial Development Agency, that is GYDA. Mr. Akyeampong, good afternoon and thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Now, the minority in Parliament says that only last month, the Employment Minister laid the bill before the House and that it was too short a time for them to do due diligence on the bill before it is passed into law. And then also, there seems to be some sense of urgency from the majority, or from government for that matter, for the bill to be passed into law. Is that the case? And can you tell us why there seemed to be this rush to pass the bill, according to the minority?
Well, fundamentally, the position taken by the minority with regards to this bill is flawed. Flawed in the sense that everybody in this country knows that since July of last year, 2013, GYDA activities were put on hold by executive order of the President, which means from July of last year, GYDA hasn't run any programs, all in the bid to help restructure the organization. One of the cardinal issues that came up during the interministerial committee meeting that was set up to look into GYDA was the fact that the agency did not have a law guiding its operations. And therefore, that came out fundamental. So everybody said, well, then you need to craft a bill to govern the operations of the agency. So if the minority says they are not aware of the fact that this was something that was coming, it is completely false. It is false. Now, the second point is, when you look at the work of Parliament, Parliament doesn't spend a year looking at bills, depending on what kind of bill it is. This bill is an establishment bill. An establishment bill is something that is done routinely in Parliament because it is crafted from the Attorney General's department. Usually it's a template that everybody looks at. Okay, you need to have a chief executive, you have a board of directors, their term of office, expiration of their term of office. These are basic things that come in every establishment bill. So for them to continuously harp on the fact that they needed more time to scrutinize the bill is completely false.
Well, to your earlier point where you said that there is no law to properly scrutinize the bill to govern it, the minority in their statement said that, and I'm quoting what they said, that the program was conceived, discussed and approved by both Cabinet and Parliament. The names, structures, funding sources were all approved, and that the NYEP was an inter-social initiative project to address special needs for those stakeholders. So they are doubting that particular position that you've just said, that there was no law governing it during the restructuring process.
It was established by an executive order in 2006. Yes, they put together a semblance of things that they wanted done, but these things were not passed in law. Which meant, for instance, if they said 50% of a fund from, let's say, an agency like the District Assembly's Common Fund should come to GYDA, and DNC refused to release that fund, GYDA could not go to court to enforce that provision. But if you put it in a law that is passed by Parliament, it becomes the law of the land. Which means when DACF reneges on releasing 15%, you can go to court to compel them to do that. That is the difference that we are talking about here. If you don't have a law governing an agency plus an executive order governing an agency, they are two distinct things. So it is important that we have the law in place, and that is what we are seeking to do.
So in this case, if they, for instance, because they are also in the House and they want more time to properly scrutinize, is it an idea you think is good, is in the right direction?
Chief, what I'm telling you is that the parliamentary minority is just playing pure partisan politics with this bill. And I'm saying pure partisan politics because I have sat in meetings with them, the joint committees of youth and sports and employment and social sector. We have had 9 meetings. Each of these meetings lasted not less than 4 hours. They took the draft bill that was presented by the Minister of Employment and Labor Relations, went through it line by line, took out what they thought should not be in the bill, added what they thought should be in it, and came up with a committee report that was supposed to have been laid before the House for second level consideration. How come now all of a sudden they say they've not had time to scrutinize the bill? When we've had all these meetings 9 times. We have had these meetings 9 times. Each of these meetings never lasted less than 4 hours. So what is it about time that they are looking at? What is it about time? I've seen Parliament where within 2 sittings a law is passed, a bill is passed into law. We have done this 9 times. Multiply that by the number of hours we've sat through these things. The scrutiny that has gone line by line, the additions and subtractions that they've made from this bill.
Okay.
All in a bid to fashion it into what they really want. All of a sudden, their political lenses have been worn, and for a fact that they've been whipped into line that they should object to this bill, because when this bill passes the House, it reduces their chance of winning election 2016. Period. I know that for a fact. And quote me anywhere.
Right. Okay, Mr. Akyeampong, we are grateful for your time. We would have to leave it here for now. Thank you very much for speaking with us. He is the executive director of the of GIDA, that is the Ghana Youth Employment and Entrepreneurial Development Agency, and reacting to the minority's position on the fact that they are hastily pushing for the bill to be passed in Parliament. We'll watch as this story unfolds and bring you details in our subsequent bulletin.